Everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Match Betting Chronicles. And today I wanted to talk about two ups and whether it's really worth taking matches on the Premier League for the two up strategy. Now, the reason I want to talk to you about this is because I've hit a lot of full turnarounds this season, but so far, just one on the Premier League. Though I can see there's been five in total this season. But one of them was on Liverpool when they played Brighton, so I'm guessing the starting odds on Liverpool were too low for most match bettors to take. But for the sake of anyone new, I just want to explain quickly what a full turnaround is. That's when one team is winning by 2 goals and the other team comes back to draw the game or win. So why do we care? It's because some bookies pay out the moment the team you back goes 2 up, is leading by 2 goals basically. And if the other team come back to draw or win, then we also win our lay bet on the exchange and our back bet on the bookies instead of just breaking even or taking a small loss due to the difference in the back odds on the bookies and the lay odds on the exchange. So if we have a quick look at my two ups by league, you can see that in the championship, I've had 5 full turnarounds. And in the Italian league, I've actually had 7. And the thing is, I've missed a lot of full turnarounds on the championship and the Italian league, and I've still got these figures. So the Italian league is frustrating because I've actually had 2 full turnarounds that I could have been on that were cut in my slip, and to see it go on to be a full turnaround, it is sickening. Okay, so let's look at the Premier League full turnarounds. Now, these are the 5 full turnarounds that have happened in the Premier League this season. And you can see that the Premier League had 0 full turnarounds until October. So on the 3rd of October, you had Leicester throwing away a 2-goal lead to Crystal Palace. On the 16th of October, this was one of the maddest games ever. You had Aston Villa beating Wolves 2-0. And let's just have a look at it. This is the game. You'd have had a lot of match bettors sort of giving up because, Aston Villa were 2 up in the 68th minute. So the trade out odds would have been too low for most people to trade out at 2-0. So they'd be wanting Wolves to at least get 1 goal back so they can trade out. But it's still 2-0 in the 80th minute. And then that's when Wolves came alive and bang, they get 1 goal back in the 80th minute. And you'd imagine that some people would have traded out for some small profits, but again, it's late on in the game. Most people would be staying in. And then all of a sudden, Wolves have won the game in the last 10 minutes. That's incredible. And I won't forget this game because I actually backed Wolves. So, yeah, that was frustrating. I really wish I could have been on Villa. But anyway, I know a lot of people, a lot of match bettors who made a packet because they were on Villa. And at the end of October, I think it was Liverpool threw away a 2-goal lead to Brighton. But as I said earlier, Liverpool would have been overwhelming favourites for this game. So the original odds may have been too low for most match bettors to consider. So not many people would have been on this game. And then I'm sure a lot of you were on this game. 2nd of January, Chelsea versus Liverpool. Amazing. And I was only on this game because Bet365 had an offer on, and I'll show you what that offer was. Hold on. Here we go. So they did an in-play offer up to £50. So basically, all you had to do was bet on this game. And if you bet at least £50 or more, they'd give you a £50 free bet to use in play on the game. Okay? So most people will be thinking, we either back Chelsea or Liverpool to have a chance at a 2-up, and we're going to get a free £50 bet. So that was the only reason I ended up backing Liverpool. And normally I wouldn't have backed Liverpool for this game because the back odds and the lay odds on the exchange were so far apart. It was a big qualifying loss. But in this case, it doesn't matter because you're taking quite a big loss, but you're getting a really decent free bet here. So I know a lot of people who did back Chelsea, and that must have been sickening as well because it's just a coin toss, isn't it? You either take Chelsea or Liverpool. So I did get really lucky here, and yeah, I imagine half the country was on this game. So that is the only reason I've actually got any full turnarounds on the Premier League this season. Anyway, so the last one was about a week ago, and Man United threw away a 2-goal lead to Aston Villa. So you can see the Premier League has not really been good to me except for one amazing game. So I think the other thing I do need to consider is that I probably take a disproportionate amount of Premier League games compared to other league games, and that's because you've got bookies like Star Sports that don't do the offer on European leagues or the lower leagues. They just do some of the cup competitions and the Premier League. So that's why I tend to get on a lot more Premier League games. And if I look back on last week, 50% of the games I was on for the 2-up strategy was on the Premier League. So that's a lot of qualifying losses potentially wasted. So I'm starting to question whether the Premier League is worth all these qualifying losses. And the Spanish league, that hasn't been too kind to me either. I've had 2 full turnarounds all season, though to be fair, I do get on a lot less Spanish league games compared to Premier League games. But then again, those Spanish league games I've been on have been quite frustrating because they seem to be really low scoring, like a lot of 0-0 or just 1-0. And yeah, you don't really get excited, There's hardly any 2-ups, it seems. Anyway, the Italian league figures, they speak for themselves. I mean, 7 is amazing. And like I said earlier, there's, I remember missing a lot of Italian league games as well that have, ended up with a team going 2-up and then the other team coming back to a draw. It's been incredible when you think that it used to be a league that had a lot of 0-0 or just teams scraping a 1-0. It used to be a really defensive league, but not this season, that's for sure. So I don't know why the Premier League is so unkind to me. It doesn't seem to be like the Spanish league though, as we do get plenty of goals. But it just seems like in the Premier League, teams are less likely to throw away a 2-goal cushion. Now, there's been some games with a lot of goals, but they've just been in the wrong order. And yeah, I'll show you one frustrating week I had. So, where are we? Yeah, this one. 2 games have ended up 3-3, and I was on all 4 teams. So I was on Burnley, and with another bookie, I was on Crystal Palace. And also this game I was on Newcastle, and I think with Bet365, and I think I took Brentford on Paddy Power. So, but these games were not profitable because you just couldn't get a team that could get 2 goals in a row. You know, it was like 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. And I didn't care who. I just wanted a team to go 2 up, but it never happened. And then look at this game. 4-1 to Watford. And yeah, this is a game I'll never forget because I put a massive stake on Watford because it was in the period where Manchester United seemed to be struggling, but sort of Ronaldo, was sort of saving them at the death sort of every other week. So I thought this is a good chance here. And early in the game, Watford missed a penalty to go 1 up. And I was just, I couldn't believe it. But the penalty had to be retaken. So you're like, happy days. They missed again. So you're just thinking, it's not going to be your day. But eventually they did go. They went 2 up before half time. And, I know some people who did cash out, but I was thinking Man United, they got a great chance of coming back into this game. And yeah, shortly after the break, they did. And I just cashed out a little bit of my stake because I thought, surely Man United are going to come back to 2-2, or probably even win the game, And I think Ronaldo had a chance. He was offside. But then, what do you see? Maguire getting sent off. And, oh, man. That's when you think, it's not going to happen. Just couldn't believe that. And still, even with 10 men, I still had hope that it was going to be a big payday, but unfortunately not. So the Premier League, it has been close to paying out, but ultimately it's just not happened this season, really. But if we go back to my Excel and you look at the cups, so EFL Cup, I've had 2 full turnarounds, and I can tell you that the Premier League teams in the cups seem to be better for 2 ups than the league, because in the Champions League I've had 2 full turnarounds, and they were both involving English teams. One was Liverpool, and I don't remember who they played, but the other game I do remember was Atalanta. Went 2-0 up really early, and Man United ended up winning that game, I believe. I think it was 3-2. So, yeah, it's well worth getting on the Premier League teams in a cup, or like the Champions League or Europa League. Anyway, I think I'm waffling on now. The point I wanted to make is that for the 2-up strategy, people say, it's got to be EV, which means expected value, and that's the most important thing. And they use like odds matching software to determine which games are plus EV. And that's ultimately dependent on how close the back odds are to the lay odds. But what I'm learning as I get more experienced is that EV is not as rigid as you might think. Because look, the Premier League is making up the greatest proportion of my qualifying losses. They make up the majority of my games each week, and yet I've got the lowest strike rate on them compared to other leagues. So they're really not pulling their weight at the moment, the Premier League. So I've either got to stop taking them, or maybe I still take Premier League games, but only when the odds are really close. So let's see. So instead of taking like what I normally do, £200 at odds of 3.1, and then I'll back that team if the lay odds are like 3.2. So I'll take about a £6.25 qualifying loss here. And that's fine for most games. For an Italian league, game, that's really good value. But I'm thinking now for the Premier League, maybe I only get on a Premier League game if it's like back odds of 3.1, for example, and lay odds of 3.15. And then I'm cutting my qualifying loss in half here. It would only be like minus £3.18. And that might be something I need to look at. But anyway, I'm still undecided about what to do, but I do think it's important that I have a good look at these stats. Anyway, that's all for today, and thank you guys for listening. The only thing is, if you do see my video, I'd be interested in knowing your stats. Is it the same for you guys? Are you doing poorly on the Premier League and better on the other leagues? I'd be interested to know what your most successful league is at the moment. I know a lot of you, a lot of people have said the newer leagues are really good for 2-ups, like the Dutch league. But I haven't done so many newer league games yet. Anyway, comment if you can, and I'll see you next time.